Got Laura Hobbs here, who, as you know, was trying to get a runoff in that election for November in District 2, and we'll talk about that here momentarily. I just want to mention the Madison Rising that we just heard. I just like to play that heading into the holidays. First time I ever heard that song actually was I was at Tiger Field watching the fireworks after one of the Colt 45's games on 4th of July, and they played that during the fireworks, and boy, I had to find out who that was, and I did, and now it's actually one of my favorites. All right, let's get to Laura Hobbs, and thanks for coming in. Laura contacted me a couple of days ago, maybe it was yesterday or the day before, and wanted to come on, and we're always glad to have you back on.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Had you here a couple weeks ago prior to your hearing, and then the judge threw out the whole thing, basically saying, threw it out, saying that you had no evidence or expert witnesses, but we know from what you said before when you were here that a lot of that evidence wasn't even allowed. So what's going on?
Okay. Yes. Well, basically, I brought a case contesting the results of the Shasta to the Shasta Supreme Court based on maladministration of the election and many election irregularities. And this was a race that was decided by 14 votes. And for your listeners, just a little background, I had a 2-day trial. We heard testimony from the Deputy ROV Joanna Francesca of systemic failures to ensure that the number of ballots that went into the machine matched the number of ballots that came out of the machine. And this alone was enough to change the outcome of my race. However, the majority of this case centered around the random alphabet draw. And this determines the name placement on the ballot, so who's listed first, second, and third.
If I understand this correctly, they did do a random alphabet draw, but it wasn't the way they were supposed to do it by state rules. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Okay.
So basically, the Secretary of State is supposed to do the alphabet draw because if they cheat on that draw, it will only affect one county out of 58 counties. It won't affect all of them uniformly. So that's why the Secretary of State is given the authority to do that. And it's done publicly with public witnesses, and it's done, it's publicly noticed as well. So the public has a chance to participate and attend if they want. What happened here in Shasta was the Secretary of State published their alphabet draw on the 14th of December. And then locally here on the 15th, they decided we're going to do our own draw. So on the 15th, the day after the Secretary of State, they went ahead and did one that was not publicly noticed according to law. There were no public witnesses. The candidates were not informed.
Oh, boy.
And they drew it, and they wrote the results on a loose leaf piece of paper. So there was it was done not according to law, and it was done without any public witnesses.
Were you able to present evidence to that in court?
Yeah, and they themselves presented that evidence and admitted that laws were broken. However, that was not compelling enough for the judge. The judge himself admitted that laws were broken. Just a little more background, Gould versus Grubb was the case law that was back in the 1975. They found that there was this primacy effect where the person listed first on the ballot has a 3 to 5% advantage over the other candidates. In my race, that would be between 300 and 500 votes.
And that would be enough to put you in a runoff in November then.
Yeah. So it was based on Gould versus Grubb that they changed those laws in the state of California. These are election codes 13112 and 13113. And they made the law where the Secretary of State is responsible to conduct these draws because of this very fact. And the judge, he basically said that he didn't disagree that these laws have been violated. The issue was that he didn't think that we had proven that these violations changed the results of the election. So we had two responses to that. One, we argued correctly per Gould that the ballot name placement does affect the election's outcome as a matter of law, and it was to this point that he said he could not disagree more. So we feel that he is wrong. In fact, Gould found that such a violation was so egregious that it violates the state and federal constitutions. And the idea that you need to present expert testimony relitigating the findings of Gould in every single case where name order comes to play is wasteful and absurd. And I expect that an appellate court would also see it this way, the way that we argued.
The judge said that he expects the appellate court to see it your way?
No, that's what I say.
Oh, that's what you say. Okay,
My lawyer says that.
Yeah, that didn't. Okay, I'm glad you clarified that.
We expect the appellate court would see it our way.
Okay, I'm glad
Sorry.
you clarified. Before I ask you what your next step is, can you or have you complained about this to the Secretary of State's office?
You know, we haven't, just because I don't believe she has the authority to do anything about it. But that's certainly something that she should be made aware of. My concern is that this ruling gives the green light to all the counties to go ahead and look at the Secretary of State's drawing, see whether or not they like it, whether or not it favors their candidate, and then based on that, decide to do their own drawing, not according to law.
I could see that. So what are your next steps then after that being tossed out?
Well, we also argued that because these election codes are mandatory, and the violation rises to the constitutional levels, that we do not need to show that the results have been changed, and their violation should be enough on its own. And so we're going to take that to the appeals court and hopefully be victorious. And
I think you were telling me that the election in November is coming up very quickly, and if you can't get this remedied before then, it's kind of a moot point. What is the deadline for ballots to be printed and all that sort of stuff? If for candidates to enroll in the next race, they have to enroll by the 15th of August. That's coming up. Or no, that's when the window opens, I should say. So then they have a period of time. I'm thinking it's 88 days before the election is when the ballots go out, which would be, I think, towards mid to late August. So you got to move quickly. Do you want to hang out after the break and take some phone calls? Oh, sure thing. I'd love to. We are with Laura Hobbs, a District 2 candidate, and we're talking about her lawsuit against Shasta County and the Shasta County Clerk's Office being thrown out. Just a quick reminder, at 8 o'clock, Sheriff Michael Johnson and Bill Chappelle just gave me a call and said he wanted to come in at 8 and kind of help out with that interview, so that's fine. He'll be here. Let's talk about, again, where you are going forward. As we were saying before the break, time's running out, so you gotta get going. Right. So we're going to try to expedite this case through the appellate court, and hopefully we'll know soon whether or not they will hear it in an expedited basis, and that will determine our next steps. So hopefully they will grant us that favored status to get it heard quickly. But we should know that in the next week, I presume. So it's up to the lawyer he's based out of Long Beach, so he'll look for an appellate court that's closer to him, just to save us on travel expenses and whatnot. Okay, we have a call here, 221-1402, and good morning. Who is this, please?
Good morning, Stones.
Hi there.
Morning. Hey, just understand that we're not wait. The deadline for this appeal is not when the ballots are printed and go out. That's not the deadline. Remember, there is no District 2 race on the November ballot. So we have some time, and what's going to likely happen is if Laura wins her appeal, it's going to go to a special election. That's what'll happen. It'll be a separate special election. So we have time. So don't worry about the August deadline for the ballot printing. And second, the second thing I have, people they're glossing over a very important fact. For 3.5 years that we've been doing election integrity in Shasta County, the rhinos and the leftists have all said, nothing's wrong in the elections office, move along. Nothing's wrong, move along. That sounds like a bumper sticker. Anyways, but in the court hearing in the transcripts, a multitude of elections violations, lack of supervision, lack of training. I can go down this large list. This is what's key. We have exposed that the elections office was extremely derelict in many of their duties. And I believe there's divine intervention here. This court case gave us that proof in writing under oath. And that is why Joanna did not get the job, because they admitted to screwing up. Would your banker allow you to screw up and say, oh, sorry, you're a couple digits off, no big deal? Would the IRS allow you to do that? Come on, people. So my point is, there are problems in that office. I'm glad we have a new registrar. Let's fix it so that we have a fair, transparent election. I don't have any questions, but I appreciate the time.
All right. Well, yeah, I'm just wondering, though, you're saying that the deadline is not necessarily when the ballots are supposed to go out, but in order to have a special election, would the judge have to order that, or I mean, is it automatic if she wins? How does that work?
If and when a judge decides to overturn the District 2 election results, then by law, they'll automatically be a new election.
All right. Appreciate the call. Let's see what Laura has to say about that.
Yes, certainly a special election would work, and I would be open to that. It's better to have it on the November ballot where all the other races are. It saves the county money and time. And one thing that I have been concerned about from the beginning is that they have been delaying the progress of this case. Alan Long refused service. The sheriff attempted to serve him 3 times. The reason why it took so long for this case to be heard was we were trying to effect service on Alan Long, and he hid and ducked from that and made it very difficult for the case to proceed. I heard through the grapevine that they were wanting this case to go beyond November for this very reason, because it does make it more difficult, although not impossible, as Stone's rightfully said, is we could very easily just hold a special election.
Well, if I remember correctly from the last time you were here, you were saying Alan Long apparently had to be named because he was one of the candidates, but basically you're not actually suing him or asking anything of him other than just have another election, right?
Correct.
Yeah, I don't. Why would he care if it got delayed or not? Well, he's the winner, so I guess that would make sense. But
yeah, I think that right now he's involved in certain activities as the supervisor-elect, and he's trying to portray the image of, the next supervisor. So this would interfere with that image.
So what have you done so far? You haven't actually filed an appeal yet, right?
Not yet. It'll be probably in the next week.
Yeah, because there's a holiday next week, so... Okay. Also, we want to talk about fundraising for you, because I'm sure this is not an inexpensive endeavor.
That's true. I wanted to thank all the members of the public who have supported this case. It's been completely crowdfunded, which is just amazing. I couldn't have done it without the help of the community. And when elections are not performed fairly and according to law, it's not just the candidate who is harmed. It's the community at large who have poured into the campaigns, investing their valuable time and their money. But like you said, this has been an expensive case to litigate. And if your listeners would like to contribute, they can go to lexrex.org, lexrex.org/donate. And this helps the case to proceed and to move forward. So that would be very much appreciated.
Okay, and anything else? And then we're going to talk about some events that you wanted to talk about today. But anything else on this?
That pretty much summarizes that. What's going on? I really appreciate everybody's support, and I encourage them to continue supporting this case.
All right, and anytime you want to come on and give us an update, you're more than welcome.